GOP Representative Randy Fine once again engaged in the most disgusting and grotesque Islamophobia, knowing that there will be no consequences for being a disgusting bigot. He posted this in reply to a post on Twitter from Palestinian-American activist Nerdeen Kiswani, who had said something about dogs definitely having a place in society, just not as indoor pets. Like we've said all along, they are unclean, which is her view to have. She wants to have that opinion about dogs. I feel differently. It's a free society, except not if Congressman Randy Fine gets his way, because he says if they force us to choose, the choice between dogs and Muslims is not a difficult one, which is a disgusting thing to say and also a very strange thing to say, because who's saying we're gonna have to choose between dogs and a religious group? Why are you weirdly concocting a hypothetical in your mind where we get to weed out religions we don't like by choosing between them and pets? That's not a thing that we're discussing. We're not discussing the Jains and cats or Jewish people and birds. That's not an actual thing. That's just a weird Christian nationalist masturbation thing that you're doing online that I don't get. But anyway, that's how he spends his day. And people criticized him. AOC criticized him, saying it's a disgusting statement, one of the most disgusting she's seen from an American official, that he then puts up this flag, "Don't tread on me with a dog," because he's a defender of, well, not rights. He doesn't care about your right. He doesn't seem to have a problem with Trump's comments about guns or you needing to carry your papers in the American streets or American citizens getting gunned down or elections potentially being rigged. He doesn't care about that in the "don't tread on me" way that normally Republicans have said, but he did defend dogs against an imagined slight that he saw. And so that's just who he is. It's gross, but even Republicans seem to have a problem with this one. Megyn Kelly, who, lest you forget, sucks. She posted, "WTF is this" about Randy Fine, and he is a very gross person. But that said, he was given an opportunity to maybe back off a little bit from implying that he might want to banish an entire religion from America, and he chose instead to double down, as you'll see.
Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one of many who called this, quote, one of the most disgusting statements she'd ever seen. Congressman, I'd like to just give you an opportunity to respond to the Congresswoman there.
Well, I appreciate that. Look, here's my view. It's not enough for Democrats to think anyone who wants to come here illegally should be able to do that. They also think they should be able to get whatever free stuff they want. Now they're demanding that we change our values and how we live as Americans. My post was in response to a major Muslim leader saying dogs should be forbidden from New York City because to some Muslims it bothers them. Well, if they're gonna make us choose between our dogs and them going home, the choice is easy, and people should know Democrats like AOC are saying we are going to get rid of your dogs. Americans need to keep that in mind when they go to vote in November.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, the background waving is making me sick in the background. And then I listened to what he was saying and that made me even sicker or whatever. So when he talks about like, they want to change our values, first of all, that is literally everything the Republican Party has ever tried to do. They want their religion to be your values. He's also a guy who has said, let Palestinian kids starve to death. He implied that that's a thing you should agree with. That certainly seems to be trying to change your values. To be clear, the activist has apparently, I'm being told, said that that was a satirical post, which makes sense. I don't know this person. I also think that if they had actually believed that, that's a thing they could believe and we could just disagree with. Evidently it was satirical. But that said, he's treating it as if it's not just a thing that maybe an activist believes, even though they don't, but that every Democrat is arguing for. I just want to remind you, Yaz, before you jump in, Kristi Noem capped a dog for no reason. I don't see him criticizing her. Donald Trump clearly hates dogs. He uses dog as an insult constantly, and yet Randy Fine doesn't have a problem with that. It doesn't seem like he's actually a defender of dogs. It seems like he's just using dogs to attack Muslims, which is how he spends basically 24/7. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a common racist trope, is elevating dogs above various groups of people, right? There's the trope of the activist who can't be bothered with like the killing of, say, a black person, but if a dog is killed, then everybody is up in arms about it. And that is for some people it's very deliberate, for other people it's more subtle, but that is a racist trope, right? And now we're seeing that directed towards Muslims. Like, why would it be a question of like, who is coming for your dogs? This whole thing is insane to me. Okay, so first of all, Ramadan Mubarak to those who are going to be celebrating. I think tonight's the first night when it starts, so it's a very special time right now for Muslims. The false equivalency, like trying to retrofit AOC's comments to be like they're coming for your dogs, like they're going to make you choose between the dogs, like it's unbelievable. Also, how many Muslims are there actually in this country? It's like less than 3%, if that, in this country, right? Identify as Muslims. Also, anytime Muslims are mentioned in, like in forums like this one, right? On right-wing Twitter X or on Fox News or in red states, right? Muslims are held up as if every Muslim in this country is the most evangelical, like Westboro Baptist Church fundamentalist Muslim that can possibly be. The reality is, yes, those people exist, but the reality is that, you know what a Muslim in America looks like? It looks like me. I technically am a Muslim in America. I'm part of that less than 3%, but I don't like exist in this way that they portray Muslim people in America to exist. And so it really is indicative of the fact that these people who say things like this, the Congress people who say things like this they understand that their constituents who subscribe to these beliefs and to this fear mongering, they understand that those people have never met a Muslim before, they've never seen a Muslim before, they live in very insular white communities, they don't like anything that's different. And yeah, they've been living under this fear of Sharia law. They don't even understand what Sharia law is in the first place. It just sounds really scary because it's an Arabic word. But also, like, if the Muslims had that kind of power in this country, like, you would have seen it a long time ago. It's so ridiculous. And this is something that's happening in places like, for example, Texas, right? They're really starting to amp up this anti-Muslim rhetoric. The election of Zohran Mamdani in New York City hasn't helped, even though people in Texas really, like, unless you're traveled, you have no idea what a place like New York City even is or what it looks like as far as demographics go. But in Texas, what we're seeing right now, they used to campaign on the open border. Oh, we gotta close the border. So they did close the border. So now they can no longer use that as a campaign slogan. So what are they doing? They need a new boogeyman. They need somebody else to demonize and to fear. And so Greg Abbott, our governor, he has taken a firm stance against Muslims in this state, while he has implemented a lot of very pro-Christian things in this very state, because they don't believe in the separation of church and state. They just want their religion. They don't mind imposing their religion on people who are anything but Christian, right? So you could be an atheist, you could be an agnostic, right? You can be a Hindu, whatever. They have no problem imposing that, but they live in fear of somebody doing the same thing to them.
Exactly. By the way, Muslims apparently are like between 1 and 1.3%.
Yeah, it was like less than 3. Yeah.
There's no Sharia law, but everybody bear in mind, they want to outlaw abortion because of the Bible. Supposedly, it's not even what it says. Gay marriage has to be outlawed because of the Bible. Again, they're very happy to impose their religious values on you. They just don't want others to do to them. It's inherently hypocritical.